All right, guys, I have a confession to make. You know, back in the day, I used to be a huge Joe Rogan fan. I have probably listened to hundreds, if not thousands of hours of his 3 to 4 hour long podcasts. And you know, back in the day, he used to be somebody that you would ostensibly consider on the left, especially when it came to social issues. He was one of the main people standing up against the Trump administration in his first term when they started to do the family separation policy at the southern border. He stood up and said, hey, I don't want these people on my team if they're going to rip children out of their mother's arms just because they crossed an imaginary line in the sand. And I think that is the Joe Rogan that many people grew fond of. That's the Joe Rogan that many people could get behind. And yes, he was always kind of prone to conspiratorial thinking. He could often jump into these tangents and maybe believe some kooky things. But ostensibly, he was a liberal. And he believed in a lot of liberal values. And for whatever reason, just like it happened to many others, COVID just kind of broke his brain. He used to have scientists on. He even had a scientist on when the COVID pandemic first started. And he was one of the first ones to warn that this could turn into a deadly pandemic. And over time, as he became more and more skeptical of COVID science and COVID vaccine science, he continued to get more assertive and more firm in his belief that COVID-19 was some sort of botched response from the government, the COVID vaccines, they were lying to us about all of that. And everybody knows kind of how it goes from there, right? And then in the lead up to the 2024 election, he brings Donald Trump on to his podcast, throws him a few softball questions, and then in the end, right before the election, he endorses Donald Trump. A lot of people credit Joe Rogan as one of the reasons that Trump actually got elected for the second time. But now that Trump is in office, he's starting to kind of walk back some of the feelings or some of the support he had for Donald Trump because of this whole mass deportation effort. He's looking at, you know, people getting rounded up off the streets without any due process and sent to gulags down in El Salvador. And he's kind of walking back from that saying that, hey, this is not what we signed up for. This is not what Donald Trump promised us. And we've been hearing little snippets from his podcast going viral from time to time. And you guys probably saw one last week where he was talking to some sort of software developer or some tech worker. And they were talking about how the whole mass deportation effort is kind of insane. I mean, it absolutely is insane, right? That's something that we cover a lot on this channel. And so that clip was going viral. A lot of people picked it up and said, hey, Joe Rogan, he's turning on Trump. He doesn't like the deportations and yada, 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 yada. But when I'm doing research for videos that I'm going to do, I like to go find more context as to where these viral clips came from. And, you know, Joe Rogan, he's such a fascinating individual and such a disappointing character as well. Because when I rewinded the podcast and I started to listen to more of the conversation that he was having with this tech worker, it just became clear that maybe Joe Rogan really doesn't like these deportations, and I have no reason to believe that that is not a true belief. But he's still just so prone to this right-wing brainwash bullshit. That's really the only way that I can characterize it. And so I want to go ahead and play a couple minutes from that podcast where they're kind of talking about Elon Musk and free speech, and then it kind of meanders into the whole deportation thing. But I want everybody to see just how fluidly Joe Rogan can go from free speech is protected by Elon all the way to Donald Trump is insane for doing these mass deportations. Okay, and I don't remember this guy. This guy's name is Amjad Masad. I'm probably botching that name, and I do apologize. I don't remember how he pronounces his name off the top of my head. But let's go ahead and watch this video. And here they are talking about kind of how we went from the whole woke culture and listen to who they believe fixed that problem. If you guys do appreciate my work, please do remember to subscribe.
It sort of reminds me, you know, in tech we went through this like quote unquote woke period where you couldn't talk about certain things as well.
Mm-hmm. Has that gone away?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, totally gone away. Yeah.
What do you think caused it to go away?
Elon.
Really?
Yeah, like Twitter, buying Twitter.
Wow.
Buying Twitter is the single most impactful thing for free speech, especially on these issues.
That is quite a wild claim. To think that Elon Musk is a bastion of free speech and he bought Twitter so he could protect free speech. I just don't know what kind of person you have to be to actually believe that nonsense. Elon Musk bought Twitter and he turned it into a right-wing media ecosystem that sole purpose was to help Donald Trump get elected. He turned Twitter into the platform that he accused Jack Dorsey and others at Twitter of making in favor of the left, even though they were never able to substantiate most of those claims. And we know that Elon Musk boosted these right-wing accounts while deprioritizing left-wing accounts. We know that Elon Musk is very terminally online and that he's been known to ban people that he doesn't like. And a lot of those people happen to be on the left. So to think that Elon Musk is the sole reason that this woke culture went away because Elon Musk bought Twitter is probably the most insane thing that you might believe. But let's go ahead and keep on going with this conversation.
Of being able to, you know, talk freely about a lot of subjects that are more sensitive.
Imagine if he didn't buy it.
Yeah, I mean that would have been.
Imagine if the same ownership was in place and then Harris wins, and they continue to ramp things up.
What does that even mean? Harris wins. You've got the old Twitter team on the job. What are they ramping up exactly? It always turned out that the Twitter files was a whole load of shit. They kept on trying to say that the Biden administration was colluding with Twitter to suppress conservative voices. All of that was never proven to be true. You even had Matt Taibbi at the top of the Twitter files coming out and admitting as much. These people just live in a completely separate reality. And every once in a while, Joe Rogan will break through and he'll say the right thing. He'll say that these mass deportations are cruel, they're inhumane, this is not who we are as Americans. And I still agree with Joe Rogan wholeheartedly on that issue. But I'm also continually frustrated that we tried to warn Joe Rogan about what Donald Trump was going to do, and he still endorsed him and voted for him anyways. It is just so damn frustrating.
Yeah, I don't know what you think of the new administration. Certainly there are things that I like about and some of their pro-tech posture and things like that. But what's happening now is it's kind of disappointing.
It's insane.
Yeah.
We were told there would be no. Well, there's two things that are insane. One is the targeting of migrant workers, not cartel members, not gang members, not drug dealers, just construction workers showing up in construction sites and raiding them, gardeners.
Yeah.
Like, really?
Or Palestinian students.
And this is the part of the podcast that went viral. Joe Rogan calling out the Trump administration, saying that this is absolutely insane. Donald Trump promised that he was going to do these mass deportation, but he said he was only going to go after the criminals. He said he's going to get all the bad guys out of the country. What is he doing? Going into Home Depots, raiding Home Depots, raiding factories in the fashion district, rolling through streets and trying to intimidate people and racially profiling people so they can make more arrests. All because Stephen Miller has a hard-on for deporting as many black and brown folks as humanly possible. Joe Rogan is absolutely right to call this shit out. What we are seeing with this Trump administration, it's absolutely horrendous. It's not who we are as Americans. But we've got the extremists running the White House right now. And so Donald Trump promised to do all these things, get all the criminals out, and he is overtly broken that promise.
On college campuses. Or not, like there's a did you see this video of this Turkish students at Tufts University that wrote an essay, and then there's a video of like ICE agents, like, I don't know.
Is that the woman?
Yeah.
Yeah. What was her essay about? It was just critical of Israel, right?
Just critical of Israel. Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, and this is also a terrifying prospect of this Trump administration. They are literally trying to silence dissent. They are rounding up people like that Tufts University student. They surround her with, 5 or 6 agents. They're wearing face masks. They're wearing sunglasses. They're unidentifiable. They look like kidnappers. All because she wrote an article that was slightly critical of Israel. And Donald Trump took that as some sort of affront against his administration and decided that we're going to round her up without any due process, and we're going to send her down to a jail for weeks at a time. And a judge finally stepped in, and she got released. But this is like the biggest attack on free speech that we have probably ever seen. We have independent agencies that are looking at administrations through a nonpartisan lens, and they look at Donald Trump and say, he is the worst offender. He is the president who is going after the media companies. He is suing pollsters because he didn't like some polling that they got right before the election. He's basically running a protection racket. He's going around suing all of these news agencies, withholding these deals, making sure that these deals don't go through until they pay him off. He's threatening to fire. He's going after reporters, saying that they should be fired. They contacted ABC, and Terry Moran didn't get his contract renewed, all because he spoke out in a way that Donald Trump and Stephen Miller didn't like. This is the true threat against free speech. Donald Trump is no free speech warrior like he claimed. And so when you think about Elon being the bastion of free speech, as Joe Rogan and this guy here claims, saving our culture, saving our free speech because he bought Twitter, and then you stack that up against the Trump administration, I mean, it's not even close. And yes, they are lightly calling it out here, but not that strongly. Why aren't you calling out the Trump administration for their blatant attacks on the First Amendment? It's just wild to me how fluidly they can move through these conversations. And I actually listened to a bit more of this that we won't go through today, but it is so insane that he can have such, he can be going through the right thought process as far as these mass deportation goes and how cruel we're being as far as deporting immigrants. But then he just flows seamlessly into these other conspiratorial worldviews, other right-wing nonsense, brainwashing. And it doesn't even appear as though he knows that these two worldviews are completely contradictory to one another. So he seems to have, 90% of his body and mind in the MAGA conspiracy bubble, and then every once in a while he dips his toe into the water and calls out the Trump administration for their attacks on all of our rights. So I just thought it was interesting, guys. Like I said, Joe Rogan used to be somebody I listened to all the time. Obviously, he's always been pretty prone to conspiratorial thinking, like we talked about before. But a lot of that, back in the day was a bit more harmless. And the conspiratorial beliefs that Joe Rogan now pushes so fervently, like anti-COVID vaccine science, it's just a whole other level. His brain was literally broken by COVID, and then the right-wing media ecosystem kind of took the rest of his brain from him, as though that is how it appears to me. So anyway, guys, I will leave it there for now. Hope you guys found this interesting, and I don't think that I will be picking up Joe Rogan's podcast anytime soon, but I do like to see that he is pushing back on some of the horrors that we are seeing out of this Trump administration. And even though we warned him beforehand, and he still voted for Trump anyways, I hope he continues to push back against the cruelty that we are seeing out of this authoritarian regime. So, I will leave it there for now, guys. If you guys got anything out of this video, please do remember to smash that like button and subscribe. Maybe share with a friend or two. I'd very much appreciate that. We are trying to build something here on the left that pushes back against this right-wing media ecosystem that Joe Rogan is a part of, and that just launders all of this nonsense, or a lot of this nonsense, for the Trump administration day in and day out. So if you do like what I do, please do remember to hit that subscribe button. And if you guys want to see how Donald Trump floated the idea of amnesty, and now the MAGA coalition is freaking out, go ahead and watch that video on the screen now. Otherwise, I'll see you guys on the next one.